think everybody is here now. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our session. Again, my name is Clint Wilson. I serve as Supervisor of High School Counseling for Guilford County Schools. And today we're going to discuss some of the innovative ways that we are trying to increase our FAFSA completion within our district. And before I share my PowerPoint slides so that everybody can see everyone at this time, if you have your cameras on, if you're watching without your cameras, either way, I'd like to introduce the rest of the team. So if the rest of the team would just introduce themselves.
Hello, as stated, I'm Nicole Webster. I'm the school counselor at the Early College at Guilford.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Lackey. I am the school counselor at James B. Dudley High School.
Good morning. My name is DeSiyre Spurgeon, and I am the college advisor at Dudley High School.
Okay, I will be sharing my screen and we will get this presentation started. And again, as stated previously, if you have a question for us, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the presentation and then I will come back to this format so that we'll have more of a, informal type of give and take if you guys have any questions for our district. And I'll share my screen. Let's see. Why is it doing this? Okay, so our presentation is Guilford County Schools FAFSA initiatives, and we've already introduced ourselves, so we'll move on from that. Our mission in Guilford County Schools is Guilford County students will graduate as responsible citizens prepared to succeed in higher education or in the career of their choice. And then our vision is transforming learning and life outcomes for all children, which I believe that FAFSA falls right along and aligns with our our district mission and vision. So Guilford County Schools wants to ensure that every student has the opportunity to attend a 4-year or 2-year institution, college, university of their choice after they graduate from high school. And we know that FAFSA was one of the gateways for students to reach this goal. And as a district, we have adopted the goal of 100% FAFSA completion rate as a district. So we know there might be some pitfalls with that, realistically speaking, but we are trying to push our schools and not just our counselors at our schools, but our schools in general to reach that goal and working with them. And you'll see some of the things that we're doing later on in the presentation with our schools. So these are some of the things that as a district we are doing on the district level. So I wanted to run a show you guys. I know it seems like it's a lot, but with anything and any type of event or any type of initiative that you're running in your district, you have to have a run a show. It keeps you organized and it keeps you on target and on track with all of your goals. So I have on my run a show here basically all of the things that we have done for our FAFSA initiative since August. So FAFSA community partner meetings. I'm not going to go through all of these one by one, but I'm gonna highlight a couple of them. So we had a kickoff virtual parent informational session, and it was FAFSA completion was discussed during that time, and that was with all of our partners, and I'll introduce our partners in a little bit, but that was the same day as when the FAFSA was open, FAFSA registration was open, and that was virtual, of course, but we wanted to make sure that our parents and students were aware of that. We also had different virtual series. So that started off our college kickoff series, that FAFSA kickoff. Tackling the college applications process and applying for scholarships. That was on October 15th. Then on October 26th, we had financial aid FAQ workshop. And then on November 12th, we had line by line FAFSA walkthrough. And so we have continued to have our FAFSA initiatives and things of that nature roll over into the second semester. And the second semester, we started with the college kickoff virtual pep rally, which was on January 28th. We had a DJ that came out virtually, played music, had games, things of that nature to help support our parents and students. We shouted out class years. The parents got really involved. There was a lot of class of 84, class of 92, you know, things of that nature. So we didn't leave the parents out of that. They were able to join in on the fun. And we presented a lot of information to them that day as well. And I'll go over some of the other initiatives that we have done or we're doing on the slides to come. But we have competitions, of course, with schools. We are 100% registered for the My Future NC competition. So that's something that is a great thing that we have done. So I'm just going to keep this moving. This is the last continuing part of our district webinar series that we have going on right now. And then we have a focus in March that is to come to, but I'll discuss that in another slide. So you can't do much without having support from others. And so over this time, we've realized that there's strength in numbers. GCS cannot do this work by themselves. So we wanted to make sure that we have reached out to our partners that have served us for years, but also wanted to be more intentional about bringing them in all together. So this year, and also the end of last year, this year, we really started working with our community partners that we have been partnering with in a certain capacity for the past couple of years. And they are Say Yes Guilford. Say Yes Guilford is a post-secondary type of program that helps students with SAT, ACT, scholarships, college, things of that nature. And they have been very supportive since 2016 at our district, but they've expanded and we really work with them hand in hand. Our college advising corps, which DeSiyre, one of our partners today that are on our team members is a part of, they have really been instrumental with us for years. They have worked in some of our targeted schools, Smith, Dudley, Andrews, and High Point Central, which are all Title I schools. They help support our students with a lot of things. DeSiyre, can you go in a little bit more detail about the things that you guys do?
Yes, thank you for introducing that, Dr. Wilson. So again, my name is Ms. Spurgeon. I am one of the 4 college advisors in Guilford County, where I am serving at James B. Dudley High School. So just on a day-to-day, we are really just an extra resource for that school to really build a college culture in those high schools where you have the most at-risk students, typically high minority populations, where they just need that extra push to make a post-secondary plan pretty much. So that's in a nutshell of the work that we as college advisors do, just that extra resource to serve those students on a day-to-day basis inside the schools.
Thank you. And of course, you guys are, I'm pretty sure, are familiar with the College Foundation North Carolina. Tequila Hall is our representative, and she's been with us for years. Like we have worked, GCS has worked with Tequila. Nicole, what's it been like 16, 15 plus years maybe? Jennifer, you might know too. We've been working with her for years, and she has been very integral with our FAFSA completion. We used to have a thing called college night, but of course with COVID, we used to have it at our civic center, or our Coliseum per se. And we had thousands and thousands of parents and students, 5,000 parents and students that would come in, and they were receiving information from our CACRO partners. And she would give a wonderful FAFSA presentation like twice during that time. And she would go to schools, and she still does things like that. But we really wanted to make sure that we had her skills and her expertise in on this as we were moving along and fostered a better partnership. And then of course, Guilford County Schools, we were all a part of the partnership for this. So these are some of the initiatives. We did virtual webinars, which I discussed previously with our FAFSA, our college kickoff series that was in the fall. And now we're sort of segueing in. We've completed almost a month. Tomorrow is our last one in February. And then March, we have a couple of sessions as well as part of our college kickoff series 2.0. We call it 2.0. FAFSA Connect Ed robocalls to 12th grade students and parents and guardians. My Future NC registration for the FAFSA completion, as you guys are all aware and know of. FAFSA helpline and phone calls for Title I schools. This is something that's very, very important to us within our district. And the reason why it's very, very important to us is because it's something we've never done before. So we also partner with our Guilford Parent Academy, we call them GPA. And they received some Title I funds to work with some of our Title I, well, all of our Title I schools. So we have about 8 or 9 Title I schools within high schools within Guilford County. And 4 counselors from those schools will be working after hours to call those schools, the students from those schools and parents, offer them FAFSA help after hours. And then also it'll be a FAFSA type of hotline that we will have for parents to call in if they have any troubles with the FAFSA. And during that time, college applications and things of nature can also be discussed. This is something I think this is one of our biggest tickets that we haven't done before previously. So I'm looking forward to see how it's going to turn out. It's actually going to start in March. So we're really excited about that. And then we have our FAFSA Champion School of the Week. This is something that will be starting actually this week, where we will recognize a school for the work that they're doing with FAFSA. It will be put on all of our social media outlets and GCS, through counseling services, through their school, through, again, our district relations office, where we're just celebrating. We want to make sure that our counselors and our schools are knowing, or they know that they are being seen and noticed for all the hard work that they are doing with not only the day-to-day tasks that they do every day, but with FAFSA completion, and knowing the importance of it. We also had principals meetings, and I think it's very, very imperative. It's very, very imperative to get before the principals. If you want something to be done within the schools, you have to really put the buck right back on the principals. So when we met with them in December and in January, I think we met in February too, I really stressed the fact that this is not something that's just following the counselors and the college advisors within the school. This is a school-wide initiative. If you have students that are being taught by 12th grade educators, such as the English 12, or, you know, our course that 12th graders take, teachers should be discussing this with as well. Have you completed your FAFSA? These are some steps you need to have, and they can readily get that information from the counselors. Counselors do not mind giving that stuff to the teachers, but the teachers should be there to support the counselors and the administrators in the building. It should be a school-wide initiative. FAFSA is not just something that just, again, it's not just housed in the counseling services department. It's something that is school-wide to support all of our students with their basic needs of going to a 2-year or 4-year institution. As far as the district marketing tools, we had several things. So these are some of our flyers that we created for our college kickoff series, from left to right. They go in chronological order from what we have done this year. We share this out via our social media pages. We share this out via our social media. We shared it emails. We've done connect eds, things of that nature to make sure that 11 and 12th grade students actually receive this information and are a part of the conversation, as well as their parents or guardians. Connect eds, this is some example of the connect eds that we sent out to parents of 11 and 12th grade students. And I just giving an example, this is something I read out, and then they sent it out to them, and they shared it maybe on a Friday evening the week before, and then they shared it again on Tuesday, and then they shared it again on Thursday morning the week before some of our events. So we just wanted to make sure that we had a wide variety of getting information out to parents and students about our FAFSA completion initiatives. This is a video that was also, and I'm laughing at the video because we talked about this video earlier. This is a video that was made to support FAFSA initiatives. I'm on it. I can't stand sometimes hearing my voice. So if I cringe or laugh, just bear with me. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Hold on.
I am Dr. Clint Wilson, Supervisor of High School Counseling, with an important message. There's still time to complete the free application for Federal Student Aid, or FAFSA, so you can access federal and state funding to cover the cost of your students' college aspirations. We all know that the cost of college can be overwhelming. Completing the FAFSA application gives your student the opportunity to receive grants which you don't have to pay back, as well as loan options for which your family may be eligible. There are FAFSA deadlines, so don't delay. It takes approximately 30 minutes to complete. If you need assistance, please contact your student school counselor today, because it's time to run a FAFSA fast break. Put your student on the road to a bright future.
Gosh, every time I hear that video, I laugh. But that was something that we utilize to send out to parents over the Christmas holiday break, so that they would be aware of, some of the things with FAFSA and keep it in their minds. We also play that it runs on our TV station every now and again, that students and parents might watch to support them, as well as other artifacts that we receive from Say Yes Guilford, and then also from CFNC. So I'm going to turn over to James B. Dudley High School. I wanted to also not just share things on the district level that we're doing for all students and parents, but I also wanted to share what we are doing on school level. So I have two different types of schools. I have James B. Dudley High School, which is a Title I school, but they have a lot of supports with CIS and our college advisors. And then I also wanted to share our early college at Guilford, which is one of our early colleges within our school. So I wanted to give you like two different types of schools and see how they're doing things at their schools, because I wanted to be really cohesive. One of us to be cohesive, and I wanted us to be able to share. If you have any questions, these would be great experts for you to contact in the chat and so forth when we get to that portion. So I'll turn over to Dudley High School.
Thanks, Dr. Wilson. Like Dr. Wilson said, my name is Jennifer Lackey, and I'm one of the school counselors at Dudley High School. We are a Title I school, very high needs. Our population, I will say, is very needy. The one thing that we are fortunate enough to have is a college advisor. And I will be completely honest, she does all things college, including the FAFSA. But as counselors, the one thing that we do make sure that we do is support the college advisor, Ms. Spurgeon. You will hear from her in just a second. But we make sure that we support her in all the initiatives that she implements when it comes to FAFSA or all things college application process. She's going to also speak on this, and I'll just kind of highlight it. I don't want, as counselors, I think sometimes we think we need to do a whole lot for the students so we can say that we're doing something to, get them to fill out the FAFSA and all of this. And the one thing I'll say is do what works for your school. It's not that you need to do all of these initiatives. A lot of times you just have to do what works for your students. And sometimes one or two initiatives or different programs will work. You just may have to do them more than once, but just figure out what works for your school so that you're not just doing a whole lot and it's not working. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to Ms. Spurgeon, and she will kind of give you the specific things that we have done here at Dudley High School that has worked for our population. And then if there's any questions, we can go from there. Ms. Spurgeon.
Thank you, Ms. Lackey. So good morning again, everybody. I am Ms. Spurgeon. As you've heard it so many times, I am the college advisor at Dudley. And like Ms. Lackey was saying, I do, and I'm so proud to take charge of everything college, or really everything post-secondary plan at Dudley, including the FAFSA, which is my baby, with helping and reaching out to my families and my students to get that done. So just like Ms. Lackey was saying, with knowing your population, this is the first thing I put on my slide, because everything that we do at Dudley may not work for you. Like, it's really it comes down to, you know, knowing your students, their families, what works for them, how are they responding best to you. So I put some outreach methods right below that, because these are some things that have worked for me, some better than others. And I'll just go into a brief explanation of that. So the first thing that really works best for my population is cold calls. As Ms. Lackey mentioned, we have a needy population. So while we do have like social media posts, and we post out all these Zoom events and FAFSA night and all of this stuff, especially right now with a virtual setting, because we still are remote, or we just got back yesterday with ninth graders, but we've been remote since almost a year now. So I have to reach out to these families directly for them to be able to receive what I'm saying. Sometimes it's calling them multiple times, being persistent, and like, hey, did you do your FAFSA? And a lot of times I have to call the parent and the student, because one may not communicate with the other about what I told them on the phone. So it's like, you really have to know what works for them. And for me, it's cold calling my families. When we were in person last year, because this is my second year at Dudley, it was calling them, set an appointment, come right up to my office and do it right there on the spot. So you really have to know what works for you with that. Text messages are also very helpful for my population, similar to the cold calls. If they respond to me with a text and we can get it done, you know, set up an appointment, do a Zoom call where we can share screens and I can help them walk directly through that application, we'll get it done like that. Emails, they're okay. I would say more so for parents for my population. The students at our school really do not check their emails. So I do that anyway, just because it's another layer where they're at least seeing it if they click on it. But again, cold calls is really the thing that works for me. Newsletters never worked for me personally. But if your population likes those, you can go on about and do it. I just stopped doing them because of a waste of time. They were not redone. Social media posts, I do these all the time. We have really two main social medias I use, is the Instagram and the Blooms, where we have the whole senior class in our Blooms. And typically I have to remind them to check it, because I do post a lot of stuff in there about just regular senior updates, but also a lot of FAFSA, you know, help questions and stuff like that. One-on-one meetings. So as I mentioned before, we are completely remote, or we have been for almost a year. So like, I do the virtual one-on-one meetings. I'll either send them a text, send them my Calendly link, like, hey, book an appointment with me. You haven't done your FAFSA, let's do it. And then when we were in person, I would just have them come right there on the spot. And then early intervention. So this is one that I would say was kind of key for me, just from being there for 2 years. I do classroom presentations, and I do hit the 11th grade class, and I tell them all this stuff. So I'm like, hey, FAFSA for y'all is opening up October. When you come the next year, it's prior year information I need, go ahead and get it ready. So that way, when October comes, we can go ahead and do it. So they're kind of expecting and knowing and anticipating, like, oh, this is coming up. It's not just something that's blindsiding them. They know it's coming because I told them it was coming. So I would say early intervention, if you can get that, you know, in class presentations or whatever, and kind of debunking myths. Because a lot of problems I had when I first came in last year was that there was a lot of myths going around, like, oh, my family makes too much money, or, you know, I shouldn't do it, or I have to wait until I pick my college to do FAFSA. It was just a lot of crazy myths going around. So if you do the early intervention, you can go ahead and debunk those myths, so they know, okay, whatever somebody told me before, it doesn't matter. I can just be prepared to do it, you know, when it opens. So then when we get to step 3 here, being persistent, patient, and prepared. So with my school, again, we have a very needy school, Title I. A lot of these students are at risk. They've never, you know, first generation, will be first generation. Their family don't know this stuff a lot of the time. So you really have to be on them and remind them, because if you just tell them one time, and this is the first time they've ever heard it, they may not even remember what you said the next day. So you really have to keep on top and be on top of just the families, and reminding them constantly, you know, if you don't get them right there on the spot to do it, like, hey, you know, maybe the next week send a reminder text message. Sometimes I send them a reminder in the same week, especially like March 1st priority deadline is right around the corner. So I've been sending reminders like crazy, like, hey, if you haven't done your FAFSA, you told me you want to go to college, we need to get it done. Also being patient. So I know that kind of sounds like a contradiction from what I just said, but this goes back to knowing your population, knowing your people, you know, build a rapport with them, you know, we've all kind of been through it, know how to build rapport, build relationships. We have to do the same thing with these families. You know, they're not just a number. They're not just, you know, something we're trying to check off a checklist. These are actual people who go through stuff. Life happens. So you need to also be patient and kind of understand what they're going through. For example, like I'll get students who have done their half, and then they're waiting on their parents to do their half. And some of our parents work late. So, you know, we work in maybe 9 to 5 or whatever, and the parents work the same hours. We have to be patient and understand that and try to work around their schedule or get a time where we can meet the parent or call the parent and say, hey, we just need your half done. So I kind of go with that a lot with working with this population and just getting my families and my parent support, because as we know, FAFSA does require a bunch of parent information as well. And then also being prepared. So you don't want to get in front of your students and just tell them to do FAFSA, because if they don't know what it is and you don't tell them what it is, how in the heck are they supposed to know what to do? So you need to be prepared and know your stuff when you're going into this. So you need to tell them, where do they go? Have those links ready to send out in a message or whatever, because, you know, just telling them to do FAFSA, it's a lot of scam websites out there, because this is personal information they're putting on there. They need to know exactly where to go and what they need to do this. So you can tell them, I usually put it all, I have like copied in my little notepad on my computer, so I can just copy and paste it and text it out to them, like the list of everything they'll need to do it. So they're not, you know, next time I meet with them, we can actually get it done with their parents. So just be prepared, know what they need to do to go ahead and finish that application with you if you're going to help them. Also, just in that, like, offer that assistance. Like, you know, if you can go that extra step, rather than just telling them where to do it and how to do it, help them do it if you can. I'm always offering my assistance. Not only do I tell my students everything they need to do it and where to go to do it, but I'm like, well, if you need me to also walk you through it, you know, I'm remote, but we can do a Zoom meeting. You can share your screen with me and I'll walk you through it step by step. Or you can offer them a resource. Like I have a YouTube channel that I made for my students this year, since we are remote and my kids love YouTube. So again, know your population. They're always on YouTube. So I made a YouTube channel where they can go on there and watch me do step-by-step FAFSA, step-by-step RDS, just a bunch of college things where they don't even have to set up an appointment with me, but I already did it for them and showed them a step-by-step application so they can do it themselves if they prefer that. And the last part is just tracking your data. So sometimes I can tell a student one time to do the thing, next time I know, you know, I haven't talked to them again in a couple weeks, couple months, turn around, they already did everything. Like the next time we're meeting, we're just looking at, okay, enrollment for college, because they've done everything based off the instruction I gave them. Other students may take a little bit more of a push. So the biggest thing with knowing, you know, not driving yourself crazy, wondering who did what, who didn't do what, is tracking your data. So thankfully with the core, I'm able to like keep notes and track my data on a database we use, but there's also other systems out there that you can use, such as the Guilford County FAFSA tracker or the NC FAFSA tracker, just any of those FAFSA trackers. My favorite is probably the Pro Center CFNC FAFSA tracker, because they can tell you who submitted it, who completed it, because there is a difference between just submission and completion. Who got flagged for verification, what they're missing on their application. So that CFNC Pro Center breaks it down so you know who is completely done and who you need to follow up with, because they may be confused somewhere. It's like, oh, they're missing a parent signature, maybe they forgot, or they didn't know they got flagged for verification to do that next step. So it's like, track your data and go behind those students, just so you can make sure they are good to go and you're good to go. So that's pretty much how I do it. I hope it was clear and understandable. I try to make it digestible with what I do. I know it's a lot. I do it on a daily basis. So it makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dudley. Do you have anything else to say to Jennifer? Jennifer, you have anything to say?
No, as y'all can see, my college advisor is amazing and awesome. She makes the other counselors' jobs so easy, or a lot easier. And I know everyone doesn't have a college advisor, but these are things. I have worked at a school where I did not have a college advisor. And like I said, we didn't do a bunch of different things, but we just did a few that worked for our population. So just keep that in mind. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move on to Miss Nicole Webster from Early College at Guilford.
Good morning, everyone. Again, as stated, I am the school counselor at the Early College at Guilford, and I am, after listening to Dudley, I don't know if I should be jealous. I don't know how I'm feeling over here. But I will say that I think it's great that I'm able to bring this from a point, as Ms. Lackey said, that you can still do a lot of things or useful things, even when you are a counseling department of one, like myself. And so just to be able to bring that perspective to the group today as well. And those of you that are school counselors realize that we do wear many hats, and that this is just one, the college application part is just one of the many hats that we do wear. So with that being said, I will say that I believe that creating the college culture and preparing students for college starts early, and it's conversations that have to be had often. And as stated before, it requires more than just the counseling department doing it. So we begin at the early college at Guilford. We begin having these conversations about college preparation, about FAFSA in the ninth grade, as soon as we get our students. With the college, the counseling department, I collaborate with our social studies, our ninth grade social studies teachers. It used to be the civics and economics class, but now it's personal financing. And there's a unit project that I collaborate with my teachers doing, where the students are creating and learning about the cost of college. So I go into those classes and I begin that conversation with them about how much it costs to go to college. And we look up some of those colleges that they're thinking about going, attending, and applying to. And then that's where we begin our first of many conversations about the FAFSA. And I put up the FAFSA screen, I introduce them to it. And for many of them, this is their first time of hearing about that. But this is where our conversations start. And then during junior year, I do something that I call Counselor Connections. And basically, it is a weekly classroom guidance where I meet with my students. So, spring semester of their junior year, I meet with them every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And we are walking and talking about the college application process. So, well, really 2 weeks is devoted to FAFSA as well as scholarships and aid and paying for college. Um, so once a week we're meeting, I'm walking them through that. Again, I'm showing them the FAFSA page again. We're talking about what those resources are for paying for college. And then those juniors that I have in spring semester, I turn around and I have them in the fall semester on same day and time on Wednesdays as seniors. And once again, now that they're in the application process, every week we're meeting, we're discussing, I'm saying, hey, this is where you should be on your checklist. I'm able to follow up with the students during that time to make sure that they're on track. So that's during our counselor connection meetings that I do have. With us being an early college, my juniors and seniors are full-time college students. And so Wednesdays is the only day that time frame is the only day and time that I have all of them at one time. So that's why we've created that time. Once I meet with them spring semester of junior year, beginning in August, when school begins back up, I set up one-on-one senior meetings, and that's with the students as well as the parents. So they come into my office. This is when we finalize the college list. We know where they're applying. And during that, we create that during the counselor connection meetings. So during that time, they're given a worksheet that I have them complete that says, these are the colleges that I know I want to apply to. And then we have a checklist of what are the dates of the application. Are you doing early action with this early decision? What's the date? And also, what is the priority date for that particular school with their FAFSA forms? And so in that parent meeting, we create, and I talk about creating a calendar. The college application process is teamwork and accountability. And I know we're in a tech world where everyone wants to create Google Docs and Excel files, but I'm a little old fashioned with this. And I have my families to purchase whatever big calendar works for them, whether it's the one with the paper and you can rip it off every month, or whether it's a dry erase, and to post that large calendar somewhere in the home where everyone can see it. And those dates from that checklist are now transferred to that calendar. So everyone in the house, the calendar cannot be in the student's bedroom, and I make this clear during the senior meeting. So I've had families that say, the one room we know everybody's going to go to is either the bathroom or the kitchen. And they post those calendars there. And that's a way of everyone being able to hold everyone accountable with putting those deadline dates on the calendar. I do a junior as well as a senior newsletter. I do that electronically, and I really do one big one, to be honest with you, at the beginning of the year. I haven't found newsletters to be as effective anymore. So rather than trying to remember to send it out on a specific day of the month, I do one big newsletter that I send out at the beginning of the year. And once again, as we're speaking about FAFSA, that that link is hyperlinked in that electronic copy. So the families aren't having to go somewhere and try to find the link. They can just go to that newsletter and click on it. I will go back and say one thing I failed to mention with the one-on-one senior meetings. Also during that meeting, before the families leave, there are two things that we accomplish in that meeting. One, each family has already gone in and created an account and gotten their ID number through the FAFSA. And the second one is everyone is already, the first date that they put on their calendar is the October 1st date. So when they leave that meeting, those are two things that have already been accomplished there. And as I'm meeting with my seniors in Counselor Connections in that fall semester, we created a senior timeline. So based on their college list and those dates, each senior has a timeline, and that's what we're following up on during our Counselor Connection meetings to make sure that everyone is on track with meeting those big deadlines. And once again, October 1st is a big day. And so that's a big announcement during Counselor Connections and celebration so that everyone remembers that's when the FAFSA's opening. And then finally, as you could tell from Dr. Wilson's presentation, the district sends us lots of emails for us to send out to our parents. And so the one great thing about being at a small school is I do have distribution lists set up for each of my grade levels. So like the class of 2021, parents class of 2021, class of 2022. And the good thing why email works for us is because my students are college students, they are required to check their emails because that's the way that their professors respond with them or communicate with them. And so therefore I take advantage of that. So I send out lots of emails. Dr. Wilson sends it. I'm forwarding it to the students as well as the parents, anything coming from the district, anything coming from my office. So my students, a good day is they probably get about 5 emails from me. But once again, that's part of our culture that they know that communication from our department as well as the college comes to them via email. So they are aware that they're to check that multiple times a day. And those are just a few of the things. I'm not gonna say a few, those are the things that I do because that's what has seemed to work. And as stated before, I think it's more about quality of the events that you're doing versus quantity. Just having a lot of things that you're saying you're doing, but making sure that they're effective for your population.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for sharing what you're doing specifically at your schools. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's any. Do you guys have any questions for us or any comments or any, if you want to, we have about 6 minutes until this presentation ends. So I wanted to make sure we get some time in there for any questions or comments or anything that you would like to see or know more about. We're open and available. How do you handle DACA and undocumented students? We work with them separately, a lot of times, on an individual basis, and our Say Yes partners, that's where we put that teamwork in there. With our DACA students, we really want to make sure that they're getting the awareness that they need also, and then also they're able to fill out their applications just as any other student. So we really work with our Say Yes partners. And then we also have a great ELL, English as a Second Language, partnership in our district with, I call it a guru. Myra Hayes is everything. in our district. So her department really works well with us concerning our ELL students and undocumented students. Thank you, Guilford team. Great presentation and strategies. Appreciate it. Oh, thank you. This is all incredible. Such great leadership and hard work all around in Guilford County. Thank you. Thank you guys for that. You guys have any questions for us? Feel free to unmute yourself too. No, I don't think you can unmute. I don't think you can unmute. Sorry, my bad. I think there was, Chris, can they unmute or no?
I think that we don't have them as able to.
Gotcha. Okay, so continue to put in the chat.
I'm just adding on to the last question. There is a great site that was put out there with tools for college planning regardless of immigration status, and that's SoMuchPotential.org. There were a group of organizations that came together to kind of help support with those tricky situations, as well as just to give some guidance. If you do have any challenges or questions, I always recommend making sure that you reach out to CFNC with WANA and WANES. They can certainly help with those questions. Also, take advantage of the next 2 weeks of opportunity with Latinx Ed to set up any time or to help support your students and families if they need bilingual support.
Going back to the bilingual support, I would be very remiss if I did not talk about my partnership that I do have with Guilford College. And the financial aid department with Guilford College works real close with our students, especially our students, our parents, or families that are bilingual and need that additional language support in completing the FAFSA form. Our financial aid department with Guilford College, we do have a wonderful partnership with them. I could not leave this meeting without saying that.
Tequila's on one of our partners. I'll be remiss, just like Nicole would say, if I didn't introduce, I'm sure a lot of you guys might have heard me say Tequila like 17 times during my presentation. She's actually on the call. And I know she cannot unmute herself because she's not a partner, but I just wanted to give her a shout out for all the hard work that she does with us and her partnership with us over all these years to support our students with the FAFSA and getting us to the point where we can work as a team and partnerships and, you know, really being intentional about looking at data. I mean, she was one of the ones that really started us on that trip of, you know, you really need to look at data. You really need to make sure that you set goals for your schools. You need to, you know, X, Y, and Z. So we really appreciate all the hard work from her. Do you all encourage students who are not going to college to complete the FAFSA? Yes, we encourage all students to complete the FAFSA, regardless if they're going to college or not, because you just never know. At one of our schools, and they said I can share this, Smith High School, a lot of their students complete the FAFSA we see like in June. So it's like they're getting close to graduation and they're completing the FAFSA. We really trying to get people to do it during the year so that we can better support them with their 2 and 4 year institutional goals. But I mean, we're seeing that at certain schools that they're waiting until the last minute to complete their FAFSA because I guess we don't know if they're not sure about going or not, but we want to make sure that we're trying to reach all students regardless. So we let them know that you might not be aware, you might not be sure, but do not delay on completing the FAFSA. Continue to complete the FAFSA just as if you are sure. Lackey, you have anything else to add to that?
No, I was going to say we definitely encourage all students to complete the FAFSA. Even if a student says they're not interested in going to college or they have different post-secondary plans, we also encourage all of our students to at least submit one application to our local community college, GTCC, Guilford Technical Community College, and then also complete the FAFSA. Because like Dr. Wilson said, a lot of times when those acceptance letters start coming in around April and May, that's when they sort of get the itch like, maybe I do want to go to college. So we at least want them to have that option. I was also going to mention one other thing, kind of didn't talk about what we did before COVID, but one thing that also worked for our school, number one, feed the people. They will come if you feed them. So I don't know what your budget is like at school, but we used to have what we call FAFSA Fiesta. We would get our local, it would be salsaritas. I don't know if everybody has that, but Salsaritas, they would cater the event. It was a working event, so parents had to bring their tax forms and everything they needed to complete the FAFSA. We would all meet in the media center. We would kind of play a little music, and they would log into the computer with their student, and they would actually work and complete the FAFSA. So it wasn't like a parent meeting where they're sitting down. It was a working workshop. And then once they were finished, they could then sit down and eat and fellowship with other people. And then that was pretty much the event. And then all the counselors, the college advisor, we even had Say Yes, they would come in and just have some people just to help us for parents that need one-on-one help. So food works. If you can offer it.
Food does work. And like, then you also have Chick-fil-A sometimes too.
So yes, because Chick-fil-A will do the individual boxes. So that always helps as well. They can just grab a box and go if they couldn't stay. So that was also, like I said, helpful. It was a working workshop. So we didn't sit down and give them a presentation. You came in, you logged into a computer. We handed you a one-pager with kind of just steps to take, and then we let them go. So yeah, it was good. That would work.
Chris, did you want to share what you just put in the chat?
Oh, yeah. So over the course of our session, I've been putting in different links to resources that we've placed on ncfirstandfafsa.com. If you scroll beneath the tracker, you'll see all sorts of resources, including if you don't already have a template and want to put information, whether it's for parents and families, there are slides out there available. There's also a Mythbusters document. That's something that we've seen others kind of post a myth each week, or some of you have said, hey, Wednesdays are the days that I kind of have a focus on FAFSA. Those are great things to be able to just be able to cut, paste, and put out there. And then we also have a social media, just content and images that if you don't already have something in place and you have a gazillion things on your plate, this is a great way to just cut, paste, and go. So just a reminder, if you're doing anything on social media, click or just tag hashtag NC First and FAFSA. And that way that anybody else that is following that First and FAFSA piece will also get to see what everybody else is doing. And that's a great way to be able to share those practices, build some momentum of awareness, and really support each other as we try to achieve the FAFSA completion goal.
And before we log off, because I know I want to honor you guys' time, I think our time ended at 11, right, Chris?
Yes.
Okay. There was one more question. It said, have y'all seen an increase in FAFSA completion since the Say Yes partnership? This year has been, different since, I think like we discussed earlier before we did the breakout sessions, we're down, I think, district wide as far as, North Carolina and probably the nation is concerning FAFSA completion rates. But prior to COVID, we did see an increase with the partnerships that we had with CFNC and Carolina Advising Corps and Say Yes Guilford with our FAFSA completions. I do feel as though we would be a lot lower right now if it wasn't for our partnerships with those individuals and our community partners. So again, teamwork does make the dream work. Not to be cliche, but it does make the dream work, honestly. And I'm glad with our partnership with My Future NC as well now. So we can use everyone that you can. That's how I feel. Use everyone that you can, because I'm not the expert on FAFSA, but I can always direct them to somebody else who is. And Chris, are you closing out? Do you want to close out, Chris?
No, I was just going to say thank you all so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you to our partners up in Guilford County. You guys are amazing. We will be sending out an email following today with links to the presentations that you can also get a replay of Guilford as well as Watauga. And we'll also send out presentations and additional resource links. I appreciate you all so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.